Welcome to the INNcontrol3 Basics tutorial video presented by DGS Energy. Here, you will learn how to manage and control your INCOM automation system using the INNcontrol3 software. Here's what you can expect to get out of this tutorial. First, we will cover how to start your INNcontrol3 workstation software. Then, I'll show you how to navigate around the application to access the key screens for maintaining your system. We will cover creating reports and how to use the building overview screens to get the big picture of your building. After exploring your building as a whole, I'll show you how to investigate and control individual rooms, including real-time and historical trend. Finally, we'll discuss some of the most common system issues and best troubleshooting steps to keep your system operating smoothly. To get started, it's important to understand that the INNcontrol3 application actually uses a helper application called WSCon.exe to connect to the INCOM server. The WSCon application is typically configured to start up automatically with your computer, and it will minimize as a circular pie icon in your system tray. When WSCon is connected to the INCOM server, it appears as a green and white circle. If you see this green and white icon, then your connection is good and you can open INNcontrol. If the circle icon is gray, then WSCon is running, but it is not connected to the server. You'll need to contact your IT department for help. If you do not see the WSCon icon in your system tray, then you can manually start the WSCon. Check your desktop to see if there is a WSCon.exe shortcut and double-click this to start. If there's no shortcut on your desktop, try looking for a folder called INCOM or with INCOM in the title on the C drive of your computer. Open this folder and look for the bin folder. Open the bin folder and double-click the WSCon.exe application to start. To start INNcontrol3, look on your desktop for the INNcontrol icon and double-click to open. If desired, click the Login button from the top left menu bar in the software. This will open a separate login window. Enter the username and password provided to you during your installation. Typically, you only need to log in if you want to make adjustments or changes to your system. Most views are visible without logging in. Many customers have shared username for the engineering and maintenance departments called ENG. The password is the same, lowercase ENG. If your login is successful, the Login button will change to read Log Out. You may click the Log Out button to log out. You will be logged out automatically when you close the application. Next, we will discuss how to navigate around the software. The top section of the screen is called the menu bar. This bar will change depending upon which menu you select using the menu buttons in the middle of the left column. For example, the Home menu is the first one that appears when you open the software. If I want to change what I'm looking at, I can click the View menu button, which will bring up the View menu bar at the top. Now I see a few different views available. The Control menu button is used if there's something you want to change about your view. Since my initial view is the 3D monitor, when I click Control, the Control menu bar opens with controls related to that screen. The Notification pane is located above the menu buttons and is organized by departments. The ENG department is for engineering or maintenance-related notifications. If there is an HVAC alarm in a guest room, it will appear under the ENG notification. We'll discuss alarms in greater detail later in this video. The section below the menu buttons is the navigation pane, where you can explore your system by building and by floors. Just click on the arrows to expand each section. This section will automatically change to show you a group of rooms when you select them from another screen. For example, if you click on the group of engineering alarms from the notification pane, you'll see the navigation pane changes to show just that group of engineering alarms. To change your navigation view back to the default with your building and floors, you'll need to right-click the existing list in the notification area to access a menu. Then, select Visual, Structure, and Campus view to return to the default view. When you expand a floor to see your rooms, you'll notice a variety of icons and colors. All communicating rooms have a house icon next to them. If this house icon is red, then the room is rented. If the house icon is gray, then the room is not rented. If the text of the room name is red, then the room is physically occupied. And if this text is white, then the room is not physically occupied. Rooms with a yellow circle icon next to them are not communicating on the system. We'll discuss non-communicating rooms in greater detail later. By using the right-click menu, you may also visualize your system based on the network layout. Right-click in the navigation pane, select Visual Structure, then Network. Now you will see a list of your system routers. If the router is communicating, it will have an orange icon. If it is not communicating, then it will be a black icon. You may expand any router to view the rooms assigned to that router. The rooms will appear in the same icons and colors as in the default campus view. Now we'll move on to explore various tools and views available in the software. Your system works best when all thermostats are online and communicating to the server. While thermostats will control the HVAC without a connection to the server, non-communicating rooms do not participate in energy savings measures and they cannot report alarms to you while they are offline. The report generator is one way for you to get a quick list of all rooms that are currently offline. This report generator is on the Home menu button. Click Home, then click Report from the top menu bar. The report generator window opens showing a variety of available reports. Here you can select non-communicating rooms and click Run to generate the real-time list of non-communicating rooms. The list opens in a text file that you may choose to save or print as needed. The details included on the report will vary depending upon which report you run. To see a list of rooms that are currently in an HVAC equipment alarm, select this report from the list and click Run. Here you can see additional details about room target and measured temperature, along with what operation the thermostat is trying to achieve. Keep in mind that these lists are real-time and do not show historical data. You may view historical data using the Room Trend view that we'll cover shortly. If a case arises where you need advanced system troubleshooting or historical information in greater detail than what is available in the trend, you may contact DGS for support. DGS technicians can remotely access your system to dig deep into the data and provide advanced reporting. Next, we'll cover the screens that provide a building-wide overview of your system. The 3D monitor screen is typically the default view you see when you open INNcontrol3. You may navigate to this screen by clicking the View, then selecting 3DM. The 3D monitor shows your thermostats represented by shapes laid out in a three-dimensional space. This allows you to visualize patterns in your system that may not be obvious in list reports. The color applied to the shape depends on what status you have selected. Here the status is Measured Room Temperature, so the color gradient shown in the upper right corner runs from blue to green to red, indicating the temperature of the room. You may click a room from the 3D building to see a brief summary of the room status. The View menu bar has a series of folders that contain many more status items to explore. To visualize the building's combined rental and occupancy status, click the Staff folder, then select Ren Occ. You'll see that the color key changes to represent your new status. You may control the 3D view using the Control menu or use the controls available in the 3DM screen on the lower right corner. The Summary screen displays a variety of monitored conditions along with a real-time value representing the number of rooms that currently match that condition. The most important section of this screen is the Communication section that shows your current list of non-communicating rooms. Room communication is vital to your system energy efficiency and guest comfort, so it's important to monitor and resolve any room communication problems on a daily basis. Non-communicating rooms are rooms we expect to see in your system that are currently offline and not reporting to the server. We will discuss common troubleshooting steps for non-communicating rooms in the last section of our training. Ad hoc communicating rooms are rooms that are reporting to the system with an unknown address. This can happen if you accidentally give a thermostat the wrong room ID when replacing a thermostat. You'll find these rooms simply by visiting and resolving your non-communicating room list. The room that has your unknown ad hoc address will show as a non-communicating room until you give it the correct address. You may contact DGS for support on resolving room communication issues. To view the list of rooms for any status, just click on the number of rooms and the room list will be displayed as a group in your navigation pane. For example, let's see the list of rooms that are currently cooling. Remember, Now that I've selected a specialized group in the navigation pane, I will need to use the right-click menu to view my full room list again. To do this, just right-click, then select Visual, Structure, and Campus. If you have battery-powered devices like entry or balcony switch transmitters or motion detectors, then the summary screen will also show you which rooms have a device with a low battery. To view the list of rooms with a low battery device, click the number next to the low battery devices. If your rooms have multiple battery devices, you can view which devices have low battery by looking at the room status screen for each of these rooms. We'll cover the room status screen later on. The Quick View screen is similar to the 3D monitor, but displays your thermostats as a grid of rectangles instead. You can navigate to this screen by clicking View, then Quick. This screen has the same status items in the view folders that allow you to visualize different parts of your system. You may also create custom Quick View screens if you're interested in monitoring specialized groups of rooms. Custom Quick Views are created by right-clicking on the group of rooms in your navigation pane and select Quick View, then Create Ad Hoc. One useful ad hoc quick view is one that contains your entire property in one screen. To make this, just make sure your navigation pane is on your campus view, then right-click on the top group or branch that contains all of your floors and buildings. The Overview screen has graphs that let you see how your system is working as a whole. One of the most useful graphs is the rental and occupancy trend graph in the upper left corner. The red line graphs the percentage of thermostats that are rented, and the purple line graphs the percentage of thermostats that are occupied. Here, we see a typical example of this graph. The graph defaults to a one-day view, starting at midnight, where we can see that most rented rooms are also occupied in the early morning hours. As the day moves on, you'll see a change in the percentage of rented and occupied thermostats. This is a good graph to include in your regular system checks because it can indicate potential issues with your property management system interface that reports rental status to the INNCom software. This can also highlight issues with occupancy detecting components of the system, like entry door switches and/or motion sensors. If you see the red rental status line become a flat line at the top of the graph for hours or days at a time, this typically means there's a problem with the PMS interface. Even if you are sold out, you should have some change in the rental status line as guests check out before new guests check in. If you see your red rental line flatline at the top of the graph, contact your IT department and ask them to check on the status of the PMS interface to INNCom. On the occupancy side, there are two things to look out for. If the purple line is flat at the top, indicating 100% of rooms are occupied, there is likely an issue with your occupancy detection components. Also, if you notice that the occupancy line is above the rental status line all the time or in the overnight hours, this could also mean your occupancy detection is not working properly. You should not normally have more rooms occupied than are rented. You can change the date or zoom level of your overview screen by using the Control menu. Click Control and select your desired zoom level from the top to see more than one day at a time. The Calendar button allows you to go back to a desired date. Next, we will explore the screens that let you look at an individual room status and trend. You can view the room status screen by double-clicking on a room from the navigation pane or any of the building overview screens. You may also type the room number into the View Room pane and click Go. The room status screen displays the current real-time information for the room you've selected. This includes items like rental and occupancy status, door, window and balcony, and HVAC status. If the box next to an indicator is filled in, then that status is active. Here, we see this room is rented, but not occupied. The entry door is not open. You'll notice that some status items have different shading than others. Items with extra shading allow you to do some remote control. You can control the thermostat or set a special mode for your guest. For example, EMS Light or LEM mode, sometimes referred to as VIP mode, is a way to both temporarily disable energy management setbacks for a guest and also expand the selectable range. Depending on your version of INNcontrol3, you may see LEM mode or EMS light. These are the same. If you set EMS light mode for INNcontrol3, the mode will last until the guest checks out. This is the preferred method, especially if your guest is staying for several days. Just click LEM mode, then Set. The method of setting EMS light mode from the thermostat keypad covered during your in-room training will only set the mode for 3 days at a time. Regardless of the method, a checkout to the room will always clear EMS light. If you receive a guest complaint from a room and find that the room is showing as unrented in INNcontrol, you can click the Rented line and set Rented from here. Setting or clearing rental status from INNcontrol will not change the status of the room in your PMS system. This will only change the rental status of your thermostat. To view historical trend of the guest room, click the Trend button from the menu bar. To start, you'll see a one-day view of the guest room with the graph ending at the current time. The top section shows HVAC-related info, and the bottom section shows other status items like rental and occupancy status, entry door, window, or balcony and HVAC alarms. Here we have a normal-looking HVAC trend. The solid yellow line is the set temperature, and the yellow shading is the control band around that temperature. The measured temperature is graphed here and changes color depending upon what HVAC call is active. Red means heating, blue is cooling, and white means no active heating or cooling. The thermostat will use heating and cooling to keep the measured temperature inside the control band. On the status lines below, a color graphs on the line when the status is active. Red will graph on the rented line when the room is rented. Purple graphs on the occupancy line while the room is occupied. Blue will graph on the line when the entry door is open. You'll notice that your HVAC control band changes along with the rental and occupancy status of the room. This is a great visual representation of your energy management at work. For example, the control band is wide in a room that is unrented and unoccupied, with little or no heating and cooling required. When the guest checks in, the band tightens. While the guest is in the room, the control band remains tight and heating and cooling are activated to maintain the set point. When the room is rented but the guest is away, we see the band expand to ease the burden on the HVAC system, but it does not widen as much as the unrented unoccupied mode. If the guest has the thermostat turned to off mode, you will see a very wide 50 to 90 degree band. This means the thermostat is never truly off, even when in off mode. If the room temp manages to get out of the wide off mode range, the thermostat will turn on heating or cooling to keep it in a safe range. To change the zoom level and date of your graph, you'll need to click the Control menu button to access the Control menu bar. Here, you can move back and forth in time, select a date, or zoom in and out on the graph. We will explore the graph of a room in an HVAC alarm in the next section. Now that we've covered the basic operation of INNcontrol, let's finish up by discussing some common troubleshooting tips. Earlier, we mentioned that room communication is key to an efficient and guest-friendly system. The ultimate goal is to have 0 non-communicating rooms. In cases where you have a few random non-communicating rooms, this is typically caused by a loss of power to the thermostat, or a thermostat was replaced and not programmed with the proper address or PAN network ID. You will need to visit each room to investigate the cause and resolve. Refer to your property as-built documents for information on the correct room ID, PAN ID, and RF channel for each thermostat. If you have a large group of rooms offline, then this may be related to a network router being offline. Use the right-click menu in your navigation pane to open the network view and to check the communication status of your routers. If the router is offline, you will see the black icon, and this could be caused by lack of power to the router or a network issue. If you see the router is communicating, indicated by an orange icon, but all the rooms listed on that router appear offline, yellow circle icons next to the room name, this could be caused by a damaged radio in the router. In this case, the router may need to be replaced. HVAC alarms are another common troubleshooting topic. Let's take a look at the trend history of a room that is in an alarm condition. Note how this room has been trying to cool as indicated by the blue on the measured temperature line, but the measured temperature is not responding by dropping into the band. A good first step is to zoom out on the graph and see how long the issue has been going on. You may also see other helpful indicators on the historical graph, such as heat working or not working in a room that's not able to cool. If you'd like to save or print a copy of trend from a room, click the Home menu button, then select Copy. Now you can paste this image into a Word document or email. If you observe a trend that's difficult to interpret or are having trouble resolving an alarm, you can email a copy of the trend image to DGS and we can help guide you in the right direction. Also, note that HVAC alarms in INNcontrol are real-time current alarms. If you need to do advanced reporting or investigation into historical alarm conditions for your building, contact DGS for support. Finally, another potential troubleshooting item may be related to room occupancy detection. If you find cases where rooms appear to be always occupied, even though you know them to be empty, this is most commonly caused by a malfunctioning entry door switch. If the thermostat does not see a door switch, it will never start the unoccupied sequence when the person leaves the room. If you suspect occupancy detection issues with your system, DGS can help by investigating and identifying rooms that have entry door or motion sensor issues. This concludes our tutorial on INNcontrol3 Basics. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please keep an eye out for additional tutorials from DGS.